The Creative Collective. Collaboration, not competition.
You know those tins that you can get,
Yeah.
like mainly at Christmas, with boiled sweets in?
Mm.
I did a job for one of those brands today. Narration about their boiled sweets.
And so it is a good point that they only come out at Christmas.
Well, I think they're about all year, but people only buy them at Christmas because they think people want them as
Yeah.
gifts.
I mean, they are good tins.
But people only buy it for the tin, don't they?
Think
Don't
so.
they?
Yeah.
They just have the sweets are just like there.
Shall I tell you what I've never, ever, ever thought, and I don't think I ever will.
Okay.
I've never thought, I tell you what I fancy, a boiled sweet. No, because no, why would anyone think that way about boiled sweets?
Are you classing things like, because a lot of people think boiled sweets is like the clear fruity ones, don't they? Not clear, but like, what is it?
Translucent.
Translucent. Would you class a Werther's original as boiled sweet as well?
No. And I've got to say that Werther's original sugar-free are a taste sensation.
I'm going to look up if Werther's original are boiled sweet, because you
Okay.
massively contradicted yourself in the first minute of the podcast.
Which
Are
wouldn't be the first time.
original a boiled sweet?
Here we go.
Yes, Werther's original are boiled sweets.
Can I shock you? I love boiled sweets.
Right, welcome to TCC Snap 5.
5 alive.
What's
Yeah.
the cue for today?
So the question is, well, it's a topic more than a question. Five, I suppose a good starting point is, have you read The Company of One?
No,
I know I've talked about it.
I have not.
It's one of my favorite business books of all time. And I think any entrepreneur, self-employed person, business owner should absolutely read it, because it kind of goes against the notion that growth is always better for your business. And actually, the motto is growth isn't better, but better is better.
Oh, so are you saying I should make less money?
I think you should be better and charge less. That's the book. And he seems absolutely fine with it. So, no, but what it does do, and I've spoken to Joe from TCC about this before, is that I think when people start their own business, there's always a push for growth and to see how big your company can get, whether that's staff, whether that's sales, whatever it is. And it's just a constant push for growth. And what this book says is there's nothing wrong with that, but it's why you're doing it, basically. So if there's this grand plan, if there's an exit plan, great. But what can happen is that you can always just be seeking growth so quickly, it can actually, put you backwards, basically. So I just want to know what your thoughts are on scaling and growth in general.
So are you saying that it's okay that I've got no clients?
I would push for that. I think that's a sign of a good business.
That is the dream, is to have no clients at all. Just retire. So yeah, that is an interesting one, because I'm always thinking, oh, so next year, and this is a very, there's a word, I'm trying not to use it. I'm not going to use it. This is a very sort of strict thought process that I've embedded in my brain for no reason other than it happened the first year, so I had to carry it forward, and that was that I made more money in year 2 than year 1.
Yes.
So now I've had to have that every year, otherwise I think that I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
But I'm only going to get to a certain point, and it will probably become not impossible, but unlikely. I'm going to reach a point, aren't I, where I can't there's no more capacity and all of that sort of stuff. So I get it, I think. But what's the alternative? Joking aside of, well, not making any money or wanting to earn less or ditching
Well,
50% of your clients.
the alternative to exponential growth is design a business that works around your life. So, for instance, you could just say your target earnings is 50K, just say.
All right, my target earnings is 50.
Say it again. And with that 50K, you could pay all the bills, you could go on the holiday. Your lifestyle is absolutely perfect. So whether you're earning 50K or 100K, your life actually wouldn't change that much because all your needs are met. So if you've got that target of 50K, well, why would you want to go to 75? Why would you want to go to 100 if it's going to, or if the trade-off is going to be you won't be able to enjoy your life. You'll just be constantly hunting for more money, more money, more money. And actually, it will have a negative effect on your life because if you've worked hard and your work is good enough, well, you can push your prices up to the point where you're earning slightly more anyway. But you've just got a better work-life balance. And I think that, again, this book says that so much of the business mentality is more, more, more. Where actually, if you can design a business that works around your life, that pays for everything, without the stresses and strains of having staff and everything like that, it's something that if it suits you, you can aim for that.
I think that won't be possible for every type of business, will it?
Go on.
Building a business that works around your life. So, for example, let's just take voiceover. If I'm working 35 hours a week, or how do I, and that is me voicing and marketing. Just say the two base levels of what I do, voicing and marketing. There's other stuff as well, but how can I make that flip into 20 hours a week but earn the same amount of money, thinking that you still have to market yourself all the time in case a client drops off? That's my thought, because with voiceover, yes, you can get regular clients, but some of that regularity might be once every 6 months, but they come back every 6 months.
Yeah.
So you're always having to look for other voice jobs for all of those gaps, because it's not like the same client comes back every day or something.
Yeah.
And all voiceover is charged differently as well. So I'm finding it difficult to work out how that would work with voiceover. So if I was to lose a couple of my big, like I think we called it whale clients before.
Yeah, nice.
I would need to be doing that marketing. If I don't have a growth mindset, then I wouldn't do any marketing, in my mind.
No, but I think that I don't think you can ever not market yourself. And I don't think that's what he was. I don't think that's what the book is talking about. The book is talking about, I would say that the book is sort of going against the attitude of more all the time. Whereas and I'm not saying that anybody needs to work less, but I think it's nice if you can get to the stage of a business where there's a balance there. And of course, clients come and go. There's nothing you can do about that. But if you're working 35 hours a week, and that's your kind of set hours, well, then whatever happens with your customers, as long as your work's good enough and there's a demand for it, you're going to have bad months and you're going to have really good months. But then I think what you do in terms of the yearly earnings, I think is a lot better than doing monthly, because anybody can have a poor month.
Yeah. Would it have helped if I had read this book as well?
No, because you're arguing against it, and I think that's a good thing.
Well, not arguing against it,
No.
but trying to apply it to myself, I think. Um, and I think it's because I keep coming back to the idea of, if a couple of clients just decide 1 month, I'm never coming back. And I'm always marketing in the hope of getting more clients all the time, to refresh any that drop off, or try and get more regular stuff. Because it's not like I'm in the box talking for 12 hours a day. So there's always room to do more of that. Is that looking for growth, or is that looking for consistency?
Well, I would say that's looking for consistency. I would say that potentially it would be problematic for you if you were doing double the amount of hours that you were doing now, because you just want more. But actually, what it sounds like you're doing is that you're just filling your hours.
Yeah. So there's another part of, I like podcast editing, I do as well.
Yeah.
And I know that is at capacity, because if I take any more of that on at the minute, I would have to stop marketing. I don't market the podcast stuff. I rarely talk about that.
Okay, but
If
then
anyone watching needs any podcast editing, it's
put a comment in the chat.
So I know there's a limit on that, because if I took any more of that on, I'd probably have to stop doing something else.
Okay, but then what is to stop you if you're at capacity? That would be my trigger to put on my prices. Because you level up and then you see if there's a drop off, and if there is, well, then you bring it down and you get to capacity again. But if you're at capacity, that's your work is good enough, and you're busy enough, so that's where you can grow and you progress, but you're not doing any more work.
Mm-hmm. That's the process of putting your prices up in the hope that maybe one might drop off, but the others stay and pay for the one that dropped off. So you've bought yourself some time.
Well, potentially, but the evidence, the way I would look at it, is that the evidence is telling you that you're good enough to be at capacity. So if you put like 5%, 10% onto every podcast, that over the year is going to make a huge difference. And I'm sure 5 or 10%, because of the way you work and the relationship you have, clients probably would still do it. Or you could even have a feeling out, conversation with them just to see.
And you can hear the rest of this. I messed that up, didn't I? And you can hear the rest of this discussion over on our Patreon account. It's $5 a month.
It does seem a bit like that, doesn't it? One day, maybe.
Following on from price rising. When should you do that, in terms of you've decided to raise your prices, so that's not the question. It's when do you implement it? Should it always be at the start of the year? Because that's what I've always done.
Yeah. I enjoy your LinkedIn post a lot every New Year's Eve.
It's scheduled already.
Happy New Year, my prices have gone up. That is genius. Well, whenever I've put my prices up, it's been kind of unofficial. So it would just be the new work from when I'm saying I'm putting it up.
Oh, I see. But what would you say? Would you not put up current clients?
I would. No, I would say, just to let you know. Well, I suppose it's difficult, isn't it? If a current client had come back after like 6 months, it would be fine. But if it was regular work, I'd probably just honour that until it was maybe April the next year, or whenever you could kind of say, my price is going up.
Yeah.
But we're kind of saying the same thing, because what you were just saying a minute ago, saying I'm at capacity, and then potentially putting price up. That's growth, but that's actually sustainable growth, because that's your business is growing in terms of your revenue because of how good you are.
Yeah.
and it's absolutely scalable up and down as well, which is perfect.
Is there ever a time you can put your prices up if you're not at capacity?
I have.
Okay.
I have, just because I did a bit of benchmarking in terms of well, I kind of know what people were charging, and I thought, oh, I could probably put them up a bit. However, I never want to be. This could change, but how I am at the moment, I like to be to the sort of bottom end of the average, if that makes sense, because I know that if I'm putting in a quote and a proposal that I know in my heart of hearts that's reasonable. And that's when I do my best work, really. I don't, if I was really punching, I think it would put quite a lot of pressure on the job, and I don't think that would be too good for me. So I like to be kind of bang in the middle, really. So it doesn't put people off, but people aren't hiring me just because it's slightly cheaper.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I've done it as well. I was just sort of thinking out loud, like trying to get other thoughts on reasons why it's okay or when it's okay to raise your prices. And mine was a similar sort of thing. Like, well, I had a lot of people right at the beginning when I was charging not much per hour for the basic base studio fee for voiceover. Like people who had been my clients said, well, you got to put that up because I'll pay it, but you need to put it up because it doesn't feel right, sort of thing. And then and I hate this word, my peers in the VO community, the Vermunity. Oh, that sounds awful.
That's not a thing, is it?
No,
Immunity.
no, but I'm going to use it now. I'm going to just write that down. Vermunity. There's people that hate puns like that. I love them. And it was a similar thing to what you did. I was talking to them and comparing. I was like, well, I charge this much. Oh, okay, maybe I should charge more. So I did. There was on one occasion I doubled my prices.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, that goes to show at the beginning I was charging not enough, doesn't it?
Yeah. The only issue with that is, again, thinking out loud, is I could be talking to a videographer or photographer and they say, oh, well, I charge this amount a day. And so you're quite cheap. But because we're British and we don't like to talk about, well, okay, but in terms of a year, what does that look like? We don't know how busy or quiet they are. So, you could have like the Weatherspoons model of being really, really cheap, but really, really busy. So the volume's there. Or you can be really, really expensive and have months where you're not taking in anything, but you're still earning, say, 50K or whatever it is, but just in two very different ways. So you've got to think about that as well. What kind of toll that can take, and your appetite to risk, I suppose.
That makes me think about perception of businesses as well, not just in terms of finance. Well, not as not with figures or anything, but people always used to say to me, "Oh, you're always posting on LinkedIn like with stuff. You must be so busy with work." But I'm posting loads on LinkedIn, so that would suggest I'm always on LinkedIn. I haven't got anything else to do other than be on LinkedIn. And it's this was in the early days when I really didn't have anything to do other than post on LinkedIn. But it's an interesting thing, perception. If you put yourself out there, people think you're busy because you're always there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's exactly what I say to clients. I say the when I'm at my most busy on social media is I'm at my most quiet, work-wise, because you just don't have time, do you? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you know how much independent wrestlers get paid per match?
Not much. Not much.
You're bloody right.
Probably about the same as unsigned bands used to get.
Oh. How much would when you were in your bands?
Yep.
Was there was there an amount where you thought, no, we're not going to play? Or did you think even if it was a tenner, well, we're going to do it anyway, and it's a tenner towards petrol?
For a long time, if it was local, you just do it because it's local and it's easy for everyone to get to, and you probably see your mates there, and it'll be easy for your mates to come along, so you have a good night anyway. We did lots of gigs all over the place. I remember driving to Manchester one Sunday to do a punk gig, a really awesome gig, and they gave us 30 quid for a van of 6 blokes, driving up on a Sunday afternoon and back on a Sunday night ready for work the next day. Didn't even cover the petrol probably. But we always used to look at it as, well, we're growing our base, we're growing our following by doing this stuff. And it's a hobby. You pay for your hobbies, but in terms of at the end of the band, it went from being this punk thing to a folk band. And when we were a folk band, we started to charge more because we believed that, we could command more money as a folk band. And we did. So we would, instead of getting 20, 30, 50 quid, we would get a couple of hundred quid for, our slots. But it was still never enough to put one of us full time onto the band sort of thing to do stuff. But anyway, yeah, wrestling is much less, I think.
Back to wrestling.
There's quite a lot of videos online and in the comments, like what is the really hardcore ones where they're smashing each other with light tubes and bricks and things, and always in the comments says, oh, they, and all that for a Mars bar and £5 and things like that, and it's true, I think.
Well, but it's exactly the same mentality, isn't it? It's your hobby, and
doing it for the love.
For the love, as we said last week, amateur, segue, pros.
Yeah.
So you are doing it for love, and any money is a bonus. Do you think there's any hobby that makes you money?
Yes.
Poker.
Oh.
You could probably play poker and just about make a profit. And
there's some professional poker players, aren't there, in the tournaments and things? What's her name? Victoria Corin Mitchell makes quite a bit of money doing that. I've got a friend whose hobby is making knives.
Oh yeah.
And last year he made, I'm not going to say in case the tax man's listening.
Okay. He made money.
He made money, but also had expenses.
Which
saved it
roughly equal.
Save that one. Hope he doesn't watch. That was an interesting discussion.
Oh, yeah. Well, as always, it snaked, didn't it?
Yeah.
I
would have been better if I was recording.